Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Hello, everyone. I am laughing as I sit down to record this because I have said the words, I'm going to record my podcast no less than 4 or 5 times today. And along the way, things just kept happening and kept popping up. And I had this entire podcast outline written, and I had an episode all ready to go, and I had my notes organized and my outline written, and I was going to get ready and record it. And we're going to change the topic today, and we're going to change the topic to talking about the irony of my day today and what that might mean in the bigger picture, in the grand scheme of things. So today is Saturday, and it's the day before my podcast releases, and typically I record my podcast during the week. I usually record them during the week, somewhere midweek, and I have the episodes edited and batched and ready to go, and they get released on Sunday. But this week kind of got a little busy, and I just hadn't done it, so I said, well, I'll do it Saturday. And the good news was I have had a really mellow day on tap today. So last night when I was going to bed, I said, great, tomorrow it's supposed to snow. There's going to be a snowstorm. It should be a quiet day. We have nothing on the calendar, no plans at all. We were supposed to go visit some friends, but with the snow coming, we canceled. We said we'll do it a different time. And so I was looking forward to a quiet, mellow day. I said, I'll let it snow. I'll clear the driveway. Otherwise, my only plans are coffee, extra coffee, some lunch in there somewhere, more coffee, and dinner. Hang with the kids, go outside, go sledding, whatever it was. And so when I was going to bed last night, I said, well, one thing I could do is I'm a morning person, as you guys know. I could jump up early in the morning, and I'll record it while everybody's still asleep and the house is quiet. So that was the original plan. And then at 1 o'clock this morning, my daughter woke up not feeling great. She said, my head hurts so bad, my throat hurts, I can't sleep, I have so much sinus pressure, I don't know what to do. So I grabbed her some medicine, and I got her back to bed, and I got her settled and let her, get sleepy again, and said she'd be okay, and brought myself back to bed. But by the time I did that, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, after I got her settled, it wasn't quite 2, but then I dealt with the new kitten who decided she didn't want to sleep because she heard me awake and thought it was time to play. Got her settled, got back in bed at 2 o'clock, and so I ended up sleeping a lot later than I had planned because I didn't want to just sleep for 3 hours and get up at 5 a.m. to record my podcast, so I slept a bit later. So that was the first hiccup. Then during the day, I said, this is okay. We got nothing on the calendar. It's going to be fine. I'm going to get up in the morning. I'll have a slow morning. And then, somewhere late morning, I'll go ahead and record the podcast. And then my daughter was like, oh, do we have any medicine? I checked. I'm like, nope, we don't. We're out of medicine. And I said, okay. So I ran to the grocery store to get her some medicine, grabbed some other stuff for dinner while I was there. On the way home, the fire alarm went off. I detoured, went to the firehouse, got in the fire truck, went to the fire call. Then finished that up, then I went back home. On my way home, I saw someone stuck in the snow, coming down a very steep driveway, a road very close to the road I live on. Amazon driver in one of those white Amazon box vans had slid off the side of the road or the side of the driveway and was like super stuck, like so much that the passenger side front wheel was off the ground because the driver's side wheel was so low. So I said, well, I'll try to pull you forward. Crawled around underneath the front of this van and realized there is absolutely no place to hook a chain in the front because everything's plastic. And I'm like, well, I don't want to rip the van apart because it's Amazon's and I don't want to do any damage. So then I had to get behind him and pull him literally uphill, which is the whole other ironic metaphor, trying to pull him uphill in the snow in an unplowed driveway. I'm so thankful for my truck. I love it so much. She is a fantastic beast of a vehicle. We pulled this big box van back up out of the ditch, onto the driveway, got him on his merry way, turned myself around, and I went home. I said, I'm going to have some lunch, and then I'm going to record my podcast. I came home. I made myself some lunch. I sat down, was finishing up my lunch. I said, okay, we'll get this finished up. Threw my plate in the dishwasher. I said, I'm going to go upstairs and record my podcast. And then the fire alarm went off again. So back we went to the firehouse, went to the second call. Motor vehicle accident, car leaking gas all over the place. We had to babysit it for a little while because we didn't want to just leave the active gas leak, so we had to mitigate it with some speedy dry and yada, yada, yada. So on the way home from that, I said, okay, now I'm home. Here we go. We're home again. I'm going to record my podcast. But then I realized that it had finally stopped snowing. The driveway was covered in 6 inches of snow, and I hadn't cleared it yet. So I went out and grabbed my snowblower, cleared the driveway. My son and I did some shoveling around the front porch and stuff. I took him sledding a couple times, did a couple, little runs with him on his sled because he said, I want to sled with you, Dad. Then went inside, and I said, okay, here we go. We're going to have dinner. And then after dinner, you already know what's coming. I'm going to record my podcast. So we have dinner. Homemade pizza was fantastic. Finishing that up, my cell phone rings. It's my dad. And he says, hey, can you come help me? I said, of course I can. What's wrong? And he said, we're out to dinner. I locked the keys in my truck, which he always does. He didn't lock them in there like by mistake. He has a keyless entry pad on his door. It's a Ford thing. So his keys are always, like if he's not somewhere for very long, he was just running to grab dinner. They were in his truck and he had it locked. So he went to use the keyless entry. It didn't work. He realized he left his lights on, which killed the battery. The battery being dead meant there wasn't enough power to power the keyless entry system because it's electronic. I said, I'll run to your house and get your spare key, and you can use that to unlock the door the good old-fashioned way by putting the key in the keyhole. He said, that would be great, except my spare keys are also in my truck. And I said, fantastic. So then he said, well, can you jump start it? And I said, we can, except we can't pop the hood until we get inside the vehicle. And I said, why don't I just bring you home? We'll deal with it tomorrow in the daylight. He said, that sounds great, except the dog is in the back seat. I can't leave him in the truck all by himself overnight. So I said, cool, I'll be right there. Thank goodness for friends and other fire departments, because I called the chief of the town he was in, where the restaurant is, and I asked if they had a lockout kit in their fire truck and could I go grab it. He said, yep, I'll do you one better. I'll come meet you there. Don't worry about it. I'll come give you a hand. So him and another firefighter came and helped my dad, and we got him all set. And finally, then I came home and I walked inside and I said, I'm going to record my podcast. And finally, here we are. So that's my story. I hope you enjoyed the 6-minute tale of my crazy day. But, I got thinking about it, and the reason I wanted to use this as a topic instead of the other one, I'll use the other topic for sure because it's something really timely, and I think it's something I really want to get out to you all as listeners. But, I just got thinking about, the whole ironic situation of I just wanted to record my podcast. That was my simple intention, right? But it really, I said it probably 5 times today, and I'll record it now, and now, and now. And there's so many times, all 5 of those times, life, the universe, God, whoever it was, said, not yet, you won't. Not yet, Hiller. No, not quite yet. There's other stuff for you to do. And, if you've ever had a plan for your day that completely unraveled, this one is definitely for you. So this episode isn't about frustration. Please don't mistake me. I'm not frustrated at all. I've actually had a really great day. I love helping people. Pulling the guy out of that snowbank or over the embankment today, he was like, you saved my life. He's like, you have no idea what a hassle it is for an Amazon driver to have to call a tow truck. He's like, first of all, the amount of time it takes. Somebody else has to come get all of my packages. It makes all the packages late. He's like, it's a whole thing. He's like, I cannot thank you enough. I said, well, I'm happy to help. Have a great day. Be safe. Be careful. So I'm not frustrated at all. It's about perspective, the episode, not about frustration. So here's the day I just outlined for you guys: grocery store, fire calls, helping people stuck in the snow, more fire calls, going to help my dad and rescue him and the dog, and all that kind of stuff. And so at the end of the day, I'm a little tired, but I'm a lot amused, and I'm also a lot amazed, because each interruption, it wasn't random chaos. Each one involved helping someone. And I didn't think about this until I finally got home, and that's when I decided to switch and do this topic instead. It wasn't about frustration. It wasn't about chaos and things being chaotic. It was about helping people all throughout the day. So we can plan sometimes with the best of intentions. We can be organized, motivated, ready, and still sometimes life says, no, I need to intervene. No, not now, not today, maybe not today or tomorrow. And plans falling apart doesn't mean you failed. I want to be really clear about that, because my plan today was really just to record the podcast. Otherwise, I had a really uneventful day planned. And I'm still recording the podcast. I'm just doing it a little bit later than I had planned to. So It doesn't mean I failed at all. You didn't do what you said you were going to do first thing in the morning. You didn't get it recorded. Like, that's not the mindset here. It means that something else took priority. My little girl needed me at 1 a.m., and so that was top priority. So that kind of pushed the waking up early to record the podcast super early at 5 a.m. out of the way, and that's totally okay. And other things throughout the day kept taking priority. And so in the grand scheme of this, it doesn't release till tomorrow, so I know that I had physical time on the clock. But in the plan and the scheme and the outline of my day, other things took, well, maybe not the entire place in line of the podcast, because I knew I still needed to do it. But they kept popping up and saying, hey, can you just do this one little thing first? But listen, if this happens to you, and if this ever has happened to you, I want you to know it's okay to feel thrown off and disappointed at first. I didn't feel that way today. I was kind of amused because it was just a kind of a fun day overall. But if this has happened to you, it's okay to feel annoyed. And it's also okay to feel annoyed and grateful at the same time, because flexibility is not the opposite of discipline. It's part of it. I think sometimes we as people fall into the trap of, I need to be disciplined. I need to do this, and this. I have a list. I have an outline. I have priorities. Nothing's getting in my way. But also remember, being flexible can also really help you navigate that really regimented and disciplined list. So flexibility is part of discipline. But it's okay to be disappointed when things get thrown off. And so I think sometimes, like I said before, the universe, God, life, however you want to frame it, whatever your beliefs are, kind of nudges us in other directions or maybe just other places. So every interruption today in my day definitely had a purpose. It wasn't like I got stuck in traffic and I just sat in traffic for 45 minutes on my way home and nothing happened and I just drove home anyway and there was nothing along the way. It wasn't a nameless or eventless delay. Things happened that had purpose in my life. Every delay I had today was service-oriented. And, you guys know me. I have a servant's heart. So helping others doesn't always fit neatly into my calendar, but I always want to do it. I very well could have driven by that guy today in the Amazon truck. He didn't know who I was. He has no idea who I am or that I actually had a chain he saw I had a pickup truck if he was looking as I drove by, but he didn't know if it was four-wheel drive. Like, there was no reason that I had to stop, except that my servant's heart said, hey, if you were in that situation, it would really be terrible, and you would want someone to give you a hand, wouldn't you? So, to help him, I stopped. And so, even though helping others doesn't always fit neatly into our calendar, it often aligns perfectly with who we are. And in the case of today, it definitely aligned really well with who I am, because I'm going to tell you a little secret. Hooking a chain to that guy's big old van and pulling him out with my pickup truck, touched on every single little awesome thing about me that is still like a 14-year-old boy inside and loves big, tough pickup trucks and equipment and all that kind of stuff. So I was super thankful that I was able to help him, but I also kind of had a lot of fun, sliding sideways in the snow, tires spinning, snow and going everywhere, and, dragging them up the driveway. Let's be serious. It was a lot of fun. If you were there, I promise you would have had a good time. But so that definitely aligned with who I am, both on the servant's heart side of helping people and also on the, hey, you know what? This didn't bother me and throw me off because I really like helping people deep down in my core. It's who I am. And so, I got thinking about this. Maybe today wasn't about recording a podcast. Maybe it was about living one. Maybe it was this topic was what was meant to be all along. And I needed to have this day to kind of bring the topic out to the forefront of my brain and get it pushed out to all of you listening. And that's a really beautiful reframing. I certainly wouldn't have done this episode if I didn't have the day I had today, because like I said, I have a whole nother one outlined and planned and it was ready to go. A big long outline with a completely different topic, not even one that's close to this one. So I'm really glad I had the day I did, because I wanted to get this message out. I lived the podcast message today, and now I want to repeat it all for you guys to hear so you can listen to it when it comes out tomorrow. And, I think the common belief, and I kind of want to challenge this a little bit, I think the common belief is productivity only counts if you complete what you planned. I think we fall into that trap a lot. Well, I have X, Y, and Z on my to-do list. There's 10 things on my to-do list. And at the end of the day, if you only got 3 of them done, you're like, oh, well, I'm a failure. I haven't been productive. This productivity didn't count, but that's not true. I'd like to offer like this broader definition, this broader idea that showing up and being useful and being available and doing good when it's needed is definitely productive and also helpful and just a good thing to do for yourself and for other people. And so if you are a first responder, if you are a parent, if you are a caregiver, if you are anyone with a service-oriented role, it doesn't matter what you do. Lots of us are in service-oriented roles and we don't even know it, or maybe we don't recognize it right away. But if you are in any of those roles, I think this is really relevant for you because sometimes helping people ends up being a bigger part of our day than we actually plan. And, but I want to also acknowledge that we still have the goals that we set out to do. The to-do list still exists. We still want to get all those things done. And so I think that creates some tension in there, kind of deep down in our gut and in our heart to say, oh man, but we feel good that we helped these people, or we feel good that we did these things. But, today I'm really falling behind now on all the things I had to set out to do and get completed. And that's totally okay. But sometimes impact matters more than output. Right? Your impact on the world, on the people around you, on those that you interact with, that matters more than how many things you could list on your to-do list that you actually did that day. So give yourself permission to let today be enough. If you have a day like I had today, or if you have a day where you get thrown off your game and things don't go the way you wanted to or the way you planned, give yourself permission to let today be enough. And some days are not for accomplishing your to-do list. Let's just be serious. Some days are for just being present. Some days you say, I have a whole bunch of stuff to do, and one of your kids says, hey, I need you because I don't feel good. Or some days your kid says, hey, can you drive me to school because I have 9 bags to carry to school because I have stuff today. And you say, sure, it wasn't in the plan, but I can certainly do it. But being present like that for your children, for your friends, for your spouse, for whoever, is a really great thing. And I think sometimes looking past the frustration can be really good and really helpful to say, you know what, the to-do list is going to have to wait. And you just let the frustration of that pass. And then you say, but I was really present and I showed up for the people in my life today. And that's a tremendous thing. One of the things that I have kind of reflected on today is, what did today ask of me? What did it ask of me? It asked me to be present and help my daughter first thing this morning. It required me to take care of myself and get some extra sleep and sleep in this morning because I didn't actually get to sleep until about 2:30 a.m. It asked me to be patient with the fact that I was trying to record a podcast and it didn't necessarily happen. It asked me to be patient with the people that I was helping on the guy stuck in the ditch. Like I said, I could have just driven right on by and gotten home sooner and gone about my day. But I didn't want to do that. And one of the things that also I reflected on was, well, did I show up with integrity for today? And the answer is 100% yes. Absolutely yes. Maybe I didn't get the podcast recorded first thing in the morning like I wanted to, but today I helped a whole boatload of people. I helped my daughter first thing. I got to the grocery store. I got her some medicine. I made an Amazon driver's entire day, probably his entire week, by helping him without even being asked. I helped my dad, which I always want to take care of my parents because they've taken such good care of me and still do to this day. So all those things, I showed up with my best self because that's what I can pat myself on the back for today. That's what I can say, hey, you showed up with your best today. Be proud of that. The heck with the to-do list. If you didn't check all the things off, who cares? It'll be okay tomorrow, right? But you showed up today in a really beautiful way for the people in your life, and some of those people you have never even met before. So that's the reframing I think you can use too. If you have days like this, listen, what did today ask of me, and what did I show up with integrity? And I think a lot of times we're automatically going to answer yes when we start thinking about it. And you can honor your plans and honor the moment, I think. They don't have to be enemies, right? I knew I wanted to record a podcast. I have a dedication to this podcast and to all you folks that listen. And so I wanted to honor that plan. That was the plan. I had to get the episode recorded. That still was a priority. But I also honored the moment when things went wrong, when people needed help, when things went sideways, when my kids needed me or people from the public needed me. I still want to help them. And so your plans and the moment don't have to be enemies. They can go hand in hand. You can just, sometimes one has to come before the other. And the takeaway I think here is the podcast still gets recorded. Here we are. We're wrapping it up right now. It's been recorded, right? The plan to do it just shifted. it wasn't such a dramatic shift that it didn't get recorded. It wasn't such a dramatic shift that it never ended up like me having time to do anything today. I still had time to eat lunch. I had time to record the podcast. I had time to go sledding with my son to clear the snow from my driveway. I still had a productive day. I still checked some things off the to-do list. I just did some other things first and kind of let the moments happen as they happened and responded to them kind of in real time when the universe told me they kind of needed me to. And so even with the plan shifted, even with it not what I originally thought it would be for today, it's still okay. So if your plans didn't happen today, but you helped someone, or you did a good deed, or you called and checked on someone who needed it, or you made an impact on someone's day, that is perfectly okay, and more than okay. It's worth celebrating because you didn't lose the day. You just went about it a little bit differently than you thought you were going to. And I like this too. They say everything happens for a reason, and like we talk about God and the universe and all these things that kind of influence our day. And when I came up to sit down and record my podcast, when I decided to change the topic to this topic right now, I kind of asked myself, what if today turned out exactly the way it was supposed to? And I think a lot of times that's how the day is. I think today was supposed to turn out that way. I think that I was supposed to help those people, and I think I was supposed to share this message with you all right now instead of a different message. And I think that is what the day was meant to be, and that's what it held. And it makes me happy to say that I showed up with my best self to help people today and still managed to, say it with me, record the podcast. And as we close, you guys, I want to leave you maybe with this. Sometimes the best laid plans don't fall apart. They simply make room for something just as important or maybe even a little better. My friends, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much for indulging me in listening to my story of my crazy, snowy Saturday. Thank you, as always, for listening in general. If this has resonated with you, if you have ever been someone who was worried because you felt like your day fell apart and you didn't know how to react and you were dealing with frustration, please lean into this episode and realize it's okay. Sometimes things have to go a little bit different than we planned. But serving other people is a beautiful thing to do. Helping other people is a beautiful thing to do. We were made to help people if we can, and I think that in a lot of ways today I really celebrated the person I am because I do have such a big, giant servant's heart, and helping people makes me feel so, so good. So the delays are okay with me. The delay of recording the podcast is perfectly okay because I got to serve people and help people along the way, and that's really important to me also. If you think someone else might like to hear this, go ahead and send it to them. You can ship it off to them with that little share button right there on the side of your screen. I appreciate your listening. I appreciate your comments and your likes and your follows on social media. If you ever want to reach out to me with a podcast question or a topic or an idea that you think might be good, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I love talking to people and meeting new people, if nothing else. If you don't already follow me on social media, please go ahead and do that. I am on TikTok and Instagram at Todd W. Hiller. Super easy to find. That's my only screen name, only account on TikTok and Instagram. Don't let the imposters fool you. You can find this podcast. You can also find some other links to things in my link tree on my social medias. I'm also a published author. You can grab my books in those links. And you can also join my Instagram chat channel if you'd like some daily motivation messages that show up in your inbox on Instagram. Take care, my friends, no matter where you are listening in this world, no matter what your day has in store for you today or tomorrow. I appreciate your listening. I wish you the very, very best. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.